This is Brett Riley, and you're listening to Off the Ice.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Off the Ice. Brody Kaiser and Beth McKinney with you as always, and today we have the Season 2 finale of the show. Beth, it seems like not that long ago that we were starting Season 2, but here we are after a couple-week break, back with the final episode of Season 2.
It's a very bittersweet feeling. It flew by. I can't believe we're already at our last episode of the season, of the year. Went by too fast.
Very hard to believe. A lot of change going on in the program right now. So we have the new head coach, Brett Riley, on the show today. Very excited for you guys to get more of an in-depth sort of behind-the-scenes look into Coach's life. He's got a lot of passion and a lot of heart for this program already, despite only being here for a few weeks.
Yeah, I think he's got a really good sense of the direction that he wants to take the team.
Yeah.
And while also respecting the legacy and maintaining the culture that Coach Daniels has built over the last 33 years.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. And I know Coach himself has said this a few times, but man, I wish it was October. I just want that puck to drop so bad. But we got a long
off season, but it's important.
Yeah,
we got give you guys a break.
We got a long road ahead of us before we can get to that point. Yeah. But yeah, I think there's a lot of excitement right now, and I certainly am ready for next season to get underway.
Yeah, I think everyone's ready. The guys are excited. The community's excited about what's going on. So it'll be. Hopefully the summer will fly by just as fast as the season did, and October will be here before you know it.
Before we get into the show, I wanted to say thank you to everyone who has supported the podcast throughout this season and the first season. You can view all of the episodes in the archive on YouTube and Spotify, Ferris Athletics, and of course, shout out to Steve Masters over at Sunny 97.3 for airing these shows throughout the season. Without further ado, let's get you into the Season 2 finale, Off the Ice with Brett Riley. And welcome back, everybody, to the Season 2 finale of Off the Ice. Brody Kaiser, Beth McKinney with you as always. And on today's show, we are extremely excited to be joined by Ferris State Hockey's new head coach, Brett Riley. Coach, thanks for being on the show with us today.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks so much for having me here.
You just got back from going home, seeing the wife. What was it like to, after a couple weeks in Big Rapids, go home, see her, kind of reset, and then be back in Big Rapids for the grind?
Yeah, the grind and the whirlwind totally continues. But I think one thing we'll preach with our team is family comes first. And so it was great to see her. She's super excited for me and supportive, but excited to get back here. I just saw the guys and keep moving forward here.
First couple of weeks with the new team, getting some interaction with the players. What's it been like so far?
I think a ton of excitement. Like I've talked about a few times, with change comes a lot of emotions, and I'm totally sensitive to that. But I think there's a ton of excitement and optimism, moving forward here.
You mentioned that this hockey team you saw towards the end of last season closed the year pretty strong, a lot of momentum going into the playoffs. How helpful is that for you coming into this program, getting the guys ready for the offseason?
It's super helpful. I mean, there's a great foundation that's been built. And I think a lot of times when a new coach comes in, they're eager to talk about new players and new this, and the current team gets forgotten. And like I've said a few times, there's a lot of guys in that room that we have really high hopes and expectations for. And that's the priority right now, is building within the core that we have here.
So I'll just ask you one more question, then we'll throw it to Beth. I know we got some Instagram questions for you that the people want us to get to, but the mix in college athletics right now of the transfer portal with young guys, with returning core, how do you envision that for your program going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to be adaptable in today's climate. You have to be able to navigate the portal, major, junior, but I think there's a lot of very good hockey players available that can come in as true freshmen and help our program in time here. So we need to be adaptable. We need to look where no one else is. We've got to look where everyone else is. But at the end of the day, we have to find the best young men that fit the criteria for our program that will define moving forward here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super excited for October already. I know you've said that a couple of times. You wish the puck could be dropping, but a lot of work to be done before then. And we look forward to the grind as well, for sure. So good things to come. Definitely good things to come. All right, Beth, let's move to some of those Instagram questions. Get to know Coach a little bit more.
Before we move to those, let's start a little bit with some other questions. a lot of people might not know a whole lot about you, where you come from, your background. So just tell us a little bit like about yourself, where you grew up and things like that, just outside of hockey.
For sure. I come from obviously a hockey family. There's a lot of Rileys coaching or have coached in different places, from pro hockey to college hockey. I grew up in West Point, New York, where obviously West Point is, and Army hockey. My dad was a coach, and his dad, and now my uncle just finished 75 years. So that was really cool to see. I then moved to Massachusetts, greater Boston area, and was fortunate enough to play college hockey at Hobart, Division III school that just won their 3rd national championship. And have been fortunate to coach in a lot of great places over the last 10 years here.
You went on to then coach at the prep level, but of course creating that program at Long Island. Talk about that experience. And I've heard stories that you even had to tote laundry back and forth in your car as sort of the equipment manager, even though, being the head coach of that program.
Yeah, I think we started that program 5 years ago amidst the pandemic and all the crazy times. And as you guys know, it was kind of a free-for-all, and with every probably school and department having its own challenges. And we did what we had to do to get the program off the ground. You learn to appreciate what you had and do more with less when you're starting a program from basically nothing, and just put your head down and do the work. And I think from the players to my whole staff, we were willing to do kind of whatever it took to get that thing off the ground.
The culmination of your work at Long Island was essentially a team that almost made the NCAA tournament this past year. 20 wins, the most home wins in the entire nation. How rewarding was that for you to see that work pay off in what was an amazing campaign?
It was really cool. I think one thing we preach with our guys all the time is like day by day and just process. And so we never really could take a step back and enjoy the success of the program. We were always just next game, next practice. And suddenly we looked up and we were, at one point, 17th in the pairwise or 18th, right? And then guys start to think about the tournament and this and that. And it's hard not to, but you have to take a step back and get back to work. And we played the coulda, shoulda, woulda game at the end of the year, where if we had won this game or, those two here, maybe we would have still been playing. But I think to take a step from 3 wins to 10 to 20 overtime was really a surreal feeling for us.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Beth, let's hit some of these Instagram questions, unless you got another one for me.
No, it's fine. All right. So there's a few that are non-hockey related and then some that are more like kind of coaching related. So I'll start with some of the coaching ones first. You kind of already mentioned this, but what's one thing that you're going to preach about to the guys next season?
We just talked about family. I think, family away from the program and family within the program. I think just, passing people and passing other programs by doing the work every single day. We all say we want to do something, but our actions will ultimately decide where we go. And I think that being men of action and just putting our nose down, our head down, and getting after it every single day is something we're going to hit on. We already have hit on, and we'll hit on kind of with each team meeting here.
And the weight room culture that you really want to instill with this Bulldog team, the guys are hungry for that. They've been hungry for that. Just talk about early response that you've seen from the players in instilling that culture.
For sure. We talk about, culture of extra work. And I think that lifting and skating, that's a prerequisite. All 63 other teams, they're doing that right now, and they do it, and they do it well. So what's the standard we'll do it at? And, what will be our competitive differentiators from doing extra work to, running to sled pushes to doing things as a team to embracing hard challenges that will make us tougher in the third period and late in games. And we can rely on our training, and that's going to be a crawl, walk, run. It's not going to be instant gratification, but I think we're starting to outline some of those roadmaps and blueprints, and it will be exciting to get after it.
That's a really good transition to the next question. What specific individual skills are most important to develop a hard team to play against?
I think there's a lot of components. Obviously, we hit on the weight room of just being, fit, in shape, mentally and physically. Also just away from the rink and, or off the ice, I should say, of being a tight team, from individuals having trust in the coaches and coaching staff to the team feeling connected with one another. And then, on ice skill development is something we'll talk about, not just dragging pucks around tires and shooting and looking really cool for Instagram, but, practical things of pulling pucks off the wall, or, how we're attacking off rushes and doing things there so that, we can be a really habits-based program and it can kind of be instinctual come Friday and Saturday night.
A lot of those specific things might be your answer to this question, but your Long Island team improved on special teams every single year, both sides of special teams. What was the process like for improving the kill, improving the power play? Was it those individual things or was it more of a system thing that you guys saw?
Some of everything. My staff, first and foremost, did a great job with that. I couldn't take credit for that. But also, I think having continuity, players come back. Obviously, in year 1 and year 2, it's so new. So just to have returning faces that know the predictability of it and then just making it a priority in practice. I don't think, admittingly, we practiced it enough in year 1, 2, or 3. And we finally said this will win or lose us games. And we were fortunate to have a top 20, I think, power play and penalty kill that bailed us out in key moments.
Yeah.
What would you describe your coaching style as?
Challenging, tough, demanding, but also we want this to be a fun program where guys enjoy coming to the rink. It can't just be all grind and all push. I think the rink needs to be a destination for growth and a place where these guys can really enjoy their day and want to be. But also we are going to push them from a place of love and care. And I always tell guys, if we're not challenging you, then that means we don't care.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great answer. I think that sort of mentality, would you describe yourself being a younger coach as that's like the biggest strength of your coaching game because you're so young and passionate that the guys really feed off of that energy?
For sure. Like we have to lead from the front and, passion and energy that starts at the top. And so hopefully the guys can sense and feel that from myself, staff, support staff. That has to be aligned, not just a head coach or not just the senior class. It has to be all 40 people within the program, like I said, staff and support staff included.
Great.
All right, last hockey one, and then we'll go to personal ones. What do you think is the most underrated hockey skill today?
I hit on it briefly, but just picking up pucks off the wall. I was fortunate enough to guest coach at a development camp a few years ago, and that's all the team practiced and preached was just picking pucks up off the wall, how hard of a skill it is. You watch, NHL practices and that's all they work on. And, I think something like 80% of the game or something like that is played on the outside of the rink. So being good under pressure and pulling pucks, whether it's on the breakout or attacking off a rim, is a really hard skill. And it's a really critical one. You see the best players do that obviously really well.
Yeah, before we transition to some of those hockey questions away from hockey, just one thing, touching on the legacy that was left here at Ferris State by Coach Daniels and all that he accomplished. Just your thoughts on following him and, the legacy, the reputation that he built for this program over 33 years as a head coach.
Yeah, it's pretty surreal to think about. 33 years is nothing short of really, really impressive. Mm-hmm. And again, I've talked about it's really shoes you can't fill. I think the best you can do is try your hardest to honor him and the teams that have come before. But you think of Frozen Four teams, like I said, regional championships. But also I think, like I said at the press conference, this sense of pride in being a Bulldog that I can see, hear, and feel as I, start my tenure here is something that I think he did an amazing job with. And that's, a bigger fabric of the program than NHL alums or championships. That sense of pride, you really can't put a price on.
Yeah. Great answer. Love it. Yeah. All right, Beth, let's move away from hockey for a moment.
All right. What's been your favorite and least favorite thing about living in New York?
My favorite thing would probably be the pizza, the bagels, all the food there. My least favorite thing, this is an easy one, is probably the traffic is awful.
Yeah. I mean, I've only been to New York once and only Ubered around New York. And even that I could imagine why that would be the worst part. It's pretty rough, but
yeah, it is. What are you looking forward to about coming to Big Rapids other than hockey and athletics?
I think just the sense of community. You see the Bulldog and Ferris State everywhere within the community, and that really excites me that there's a team behind the teams here. That is really cool. And it's obviously a totally different way of life, but one we're really excited for, of just, like I said, being a part of a community and engaging in things outside of the rink, and supporting other teams here, and feeling a part of something bigger than myself or just our hockey program here.
We talked about going home to see your wife, but baby on the way. Congratulations,
Thank
first
you.
of all.
Yeah.
How excited are you to be a dad? How nervous are you, maybe is the better question, to be a dad?
Every positive emotion you can think of in the world. I'm really, really excited. It puts hockey in perspective, that this is just a game. It's something that we're really fortunate to do. And at the end of the day, this is something that Chloe, my wife, and I were really, really excited about.
Awesome.
This isn't one of the Instagram questions, but in one of our meetings when you were here before, you mentioned your dog and bringing your dog to the rink a lot. Talk about that. What kind of got started with that, and how often can we expect to see this dog?
Ruby was a team dog for us. She's a 1.5-year-old golden retriever that loves coming to the rink. We have to keep a close eye on her because a lot of pucks got chewed up over time here, and socks as well. You guys would be missing their skating socks before going out, but she loves being at the rink and being around the team. Our guys love seeing her, so hopefully that's the same here. That she embraces the rink life just as much as I do.
Very sociable.
Yeah, we've talked to a couple of guys. They're really excited to meet her too. So. All right. Who were some of your biggest influences growing up, inside or outside of the sport?
I think this is an easy one. Obviously, growing up in a hockey family, my grandpa was a longtime coach and did some really special stuff within the sport. My dad as well. Like, we joke as a family, you don't really have much of a choice of what you want to do when you get older. It's within our bloodlines and who we are. So you learn a lot of things inadvertently from just going to the rink, with your dad or talking to your uncle or your grandpa. And a lot of it is non-hockey related or just like away from the rink, how to treat guys, how to interact with players. And you just get a knack and love for the game at a young age.
Being surrounded by hockey, I mean, you kind of mentioned it, but you don't really have too much of a choice. Do you think that if that wasn't such a big part of your family's life, you still would have pursued hockey? Maybe not to the extent that you did, but still pursued the sport?
I think so. I love everything about the game, the culture component, the team building side of it, all of the things that go into making a team great. And I'm obviously biased, but I think it's the best sport out there. So hands down.
Yeah. It is
unlike any other sport.
On that. I would not argue with you on that. It's a great sport.
What's your go-to rink snack or coffee order during a long day?
Black iced coffee. I went to Big B this morning, Scooters yesterday, just going to try everything. And that will get me through any day at the rink.
Have you been to a lot of the restaurants so far in Big Rapids?
Haven't had time yet, but that's on my next kind of phase of the checklist of driving around and checking out places.
So Beth, as someone who's not from this area, but you've been in Big Rapids a couple of years, what would be your recommendation to Coach for the first restaurant to try?
I would go Schuberg's. If you like a good burger.
That's what the guys said too.
Yeah, that's what I would have said too.
Like, I think Schuberg's is the most underrated. It's not as like popular as like Gypsy. Gypsy is good, but I think Schuberg's is like, if you want good food, go to Schuberg's.
Noted.
If you're a fan of burgers, for sure.
Yeah.
Their burgers are sensational.
They are.
Great.
Even their sides, like.
Yeah, really good. Fries, fantastic.
Yeah. What's your favorite cheat meal?
Probably that right there. So I think I have my plan in terms of a burger and fries for maybe tomorrow night or when I get some time here. So I think you guys just teed me up pretty good for next meal here.
There you go.
Perfect. What is a non-hockey moment that you're really proud of?
There's a lot of them, but I'd probably say getting married to my wife Chloe is something that was probably the best day of my life.
How did you guys meet?
In college, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of knew right then and there?
I think so, yeah. There was a lot of back and forth and trains to come watch me coach or train trips or bus trips for me into the city, but we found a way to make it work.
That's awesome.
When you're not at the rink, what are some things that you do to relax or spend your free time?
I've been big into running. I was a big runner back in high school, and admittingly this last month I haven't had time to do much of anything outside of hockey, but playing with my dog, running, and working out and kind of establishing that routine is something I like to do away from the rink.
You big fan of movies or TV shows?
Not as much lately. That's something hopefully I can, come up for air and get back into that, but I haven't had time lately.
When you do throw something on the TV, what are you likely to put on?
Golf. As of the good time as of last weekend here. But again, we can revisit that in season. Right now, it's been nothing.
Might get a break during summer.
Yeah, right. Do you play golf at all when you have free time?
Yeah, I'm a below average golfer, but I enjoy playing.
Isn't everybody below average golfer though, right?
Much.
That's the beautiful part.
I feel like a lot of people say that, and then they're pretty good. I'm actually just a below average golfer.
You're truly just below average.
What's golf like out on the East Coast? I've never had a chance to play out there.
There's courses everywhere. It's pretty cool. I lived basically across the street from Bethpage, where the Ryder Cup will be. So the town is kind of heating up with excitement there. There's 5 courses there at Bethpage, but there's a million on the island there.
Growing up, did you play sports outside of hockey?
Yeah, I was actually originally slated to probably run track in college, and I couldn't get away from hockey. Played baseball, played lacrosse, tried pretty much everything. But again, family business, had no choice but to follow what we do.
Yeah. Was your best sport hockey?
Probably track. I ran the 400 and was decent at that.
Yeah.
So other than hockey, if you had to pick a sport, which one would you go with, pursue?
Probably golf, but I have a long ways to go. Like I just said, a long way to go.
So you're not quite making Rory McIlroy money on playing golf, but you could get there. You think? Like if you really sat down, dedication wise?
Not today, and probably not in this lifetime, but can dream.
In your dreams.
Yeah, everybody can dream. All right, Beth, you got any last questions for him? Maybe hit him with one of your classic hard ones before we wrap up.
What's something that nobody would expect about you? What's something about you that nobody would expect or be surprised to learn about you?
That's a tough one. I'm not sure. I guess that's something that we can figure out over time here. I'm a pretty open book, though, in terms of who I am, and I guess we've got some more questions for later. I'll get back to you on TV shows and the hidden fact or something no one knows.
Yeah, hidden talent's nothing like you're not like some secret world-class singer or dancer or something.
No, I got nothing.
Okay, so next season you're gonna have to have him back on and make him answer that question.
Absolutely.
We'll come up with something.
Maybe we'll write that question down to keep thinking about over time.
Yeah, I could have an answer for you later today. Yeah.
Okay, that works. All right, Coach. Well, I know your Bulldog tenure has been very short to this point, but we close this show all the time by asking, what's it mean to you to be a Bulldog?
It's been really special. I mean, I get the chills just thinking about it. Mm-hmm. Obviously, there's a lot of work to do, and it's been a short time, but the excitement is through the roof. And again, I want to make this team proud, alumni, fans, community members. I want to do everything I can to help elevate and build off of where we are today.
Well, Coach, thanks so much for your time today. We had a great time with you on the show, and we very much look forward to next season getting underway.
Thank you both.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to this episode and this season of Off the Ice. We will be back next year with more.
Thank you so much for watching another episode of Off the Ice. A huge thank you to all of our fans for supporting us through another season of the podcast. We couldn't do it without all of you. So thank you so much to everyone who contributed and keeps us going. We'll be back next season with more Off the Ice. I hope everyone has a great summer. And as always, go Dogs.